going to talk today about why astrology is one of the most effective ways to build rapport with our hypnotherapy clients. Because we all know building rapport is important. Correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wonder if you've ever had a client who slipped into hypnosis effortlessly while another client with the exact same issue just couldn't seem to get there. Same technique, same office, same you as the hypnotherapist. So what makes the difference? Sometimes it's not about choosing a different induction. Sometimes it's understanding how that client's mind is wired. Every client enters your office with a completely different inner world.
This is true.
It is. Different emotional needs, different motivations, different ways of processing their experiences. And if we work with everyone in the same way, we miss something incredibly important. And that's where astrology became such a powerful tool in the way I work with clients. Not as prediction, not as something mystical or abstract, but as a map of how a person naturally operates. Because when you understand how someone's inner world is organized, rapport becomes almost effortless. And that's what we want. And in hypnosis, rapport is everything. One of the most important things to understand about hypnosis is that the subconscious mind, I'm preaching to the choir here, is very protective. It wants to know it's safe. True?
Absolutely.
It wants to know that the person guiding the process understands something about how it works. And when that safety is present, something remarkable happens. The mind begins to cooperate. Suggestions land more easily, and trance deepens more naturally. But when that safety isn't quite there, the mind hesitates. We could call that hesitation resistance. But in reality, resistance is often simply the mind asking, do you really understand me? What a gift when we can truly understand that person we're working with, or anyone in our life, really. Astrology gives us a surprisingly fast, and I'm going to say easy way to answer that question, even though astrology is incredibly complicated, because I've been studying it since my late 20s, and we won't talk about how many years that's been. Couple. But when we use just the basics, we have so much information that we didn't have before. We don't need complicated charts, don't need years of training to use astrology with our clients in a very practical, down-to-earth way. There are three things that really provide tremendous insight: the sun sign, the moon sign, and the progressed moon. And each tells us something different. The sun sign reveals how you take action by defining your core energy, your motivations, and natural assertive approach to life. It represents your conscious, active self, how you shine, and how you assert your will. It's your personality. I'll give you an example. Fire signs act with passion, speed, impulsivity. They take charge directly. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, take action methodically, grounded in practicality, patience, and long-term results. Those are two very different ways of working with clients, aren't they? Air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, act through communication, intellectualizing, and analyzing. They live in their head. They often seek collaboration. Water signs, Cancer, they are in touch with their emotions. Cancer, Pisces, and what's my other water sign? It's not in my notes. It'll come.
What could it be?
Scorpio.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you. I have a room full of Scorpios here, so we're going to get to that in a minute. So let's say we have, because the three of you are Scorpios, there it is, there's my other water sign. Let's see if this lands. Scorpios act based on intuition, emotion, and deep strategic or protective motives. Does that resonate with any of you?
100%.
All right. Now, that's true for all three of you, but you're all very different. True?
I'm sure that's true.
I'm sure it is. I know it is. So here's one of the ways we identify the differences. Melissa has moon in Leo. Scorpio sun, moon in Leo. Kelly has moon in Capricorn. Scorpio sun, but her moon's in an earth sign. And Patrick, Scorpio sun, moon in Virgo. And
The perfectionism thing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with Virgo. I learned this years ago and it made me feel better because I have sun in Virgo. Virgos, instead of being critical and well, we are perfectionistic. I'll give you that. But instead of being critical, which is what we get labeled as, with Virgo, we can find the weakest link in the chain so that it can be repaired.
That's interesting.
Isn't that a nice reframe?
The way I think about it is you can always see how to make something better.
Yes.
And you all are also very detail oriented. So that's a byproduct of that.
Yes.
The perfectionism. Devil's in the details.
Definitely. It is. It absolutely is. So for hypnotherapists, here's the thing. For hypnotherapists, the moon sign really is the most important placement of all. Because the moon tells us how someone processes feelings and, wait for it, what creates emotional safety.
Wait, say that again.
The moon tells us how someone processes feelings and what creates emotional safety.
Say more about that.
Yeah, because
I am going to tell you more about that. So, in fact, I'm going to personalize it for each of you because that'll make yeah.
Suddenly, I'm feeling very vulnerable.
I know. So I didn't warn you about this ahead of time. In fact, I just added this piece about half an hour ago.
We'll be having a conversation later, you and I.
Yes, we will. That's only if I pick up the phone. So here we go. Let's start with Melissa. She's not making any complaints right now. So
I've been through this with you, Catherine. I was in this class you had, and everybody knows I'm a Scorpio sun with the Leo moon. It's all good.
It's all good. There we go. And Kelly was in that same class. So
I was.
You were. So moon in Leo, and we're going to see how well this resonates for you, processes emotions through the heart, expression, creativity, and through recognition. When appreciated, they become one of the most generous and emotionally supportive placements in the zodiac.
That's true.
So how
I think that might be true.
That's
okay,
true.
now Kelly knows you really well. Kelly, what do you think about Melissa's
Absolutely.
moon?
That's 100% true of her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Kelly with moon in Capricorn, here's yours, Kelly. You process emotions through reflection, responsibility, practical action, and gradual understanding.
Very gradual. I'm downright slow.
Okay. Beneath your composed exterior is often a deeply loyal and enduring emotional nature that values trust, integrity, and commitment. Does that land with you?
Well, I think that's a better response from you and Melissa.
All right. What do you think,
especially that last part? Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Patrick, with your moon in Virgo, you process emotions through analysis, observation, and improvement. Emotional balance. Wait a minute.
Yeah, okay. I don't know about that.
All right. Let's finish this out and see how this lands. Emotional balance is restored when you can understand what's happening, take constructive action, and create a healthier pattern moving forward.
That's for me still.
Yes.
Well, Okay, I guess that lands the way I would say it is that if I can put things in a context that makes sense to me, then that completely can change how I hold something or how I respond to it. So yeah.
Okay. And, being a sun in Virgo, that need to analyze and observe and make things better. That's huge for me. And with moon in Virgo, it should be even stronger for you.
Well, yeah, that's that thing of uh like with the work that I do, with the processes that I do, I'm constantly analyzing and updating and editing and changing. And my wife used to tease me about it years ago, but she finally learned is like, she used to ask me, like, when are you ever going to be done editing? Now she knows the answer is if I'm still breathing, it's still going on. So, yeah.
Yeah. See?
I understand that.
Hmm. So when we speak the language of the moon to our clients, something beautiful happens. The subconscious mind recognizes that it's understood, and trance becomes much easier.
Okay, so the sun sign is basically our overarching theme, but then our moon, as I'm understanding this, is how we process emotions.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
different. Okay,
The sun is your personality.
yeah.
And we could go deeper with it and talk about the rising sign, which we don't need for clients. And it takes a little more information to ascertain that. So, but all we need for clients really is the sun and the moon. And if we can do the progressed moon, even better. And the reason we like the progressed moon, and this one surprised me, I did a session with one of my students who's only 24, because I wanted to test the waters. If I do a session with her, she came to my astrology class. And so she had only experienced sun and moon astrology. And I added in the piece of the progressed moon. And I did a session with her with that piece in place. And then I asked for her feedback. She said what she got from that. She said, my moon sign really tells me how I process, my natal moon tells me how I process things and who I am. And she said, my progressed moon speaks to who I am now. Because it changes every 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So even at 24, she could see the difference. Because initially I thought maybe I need somebody who's had that progressed moon more often over a period of years to see what the impact is. But then I thought, no, I need to test it with 20 somethings. Because if somebody says, well, what about that age group? I need to have an answer. And I was truly surprised that she could identify that's where I am now emotionally now. When they're in your office, where they are now, that wasn't that going to be helpful when you work with them, because it adds another layer of how they're processing their life.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
How are you finding out their progressed moon, Katherine?
I have to have their birth information when the chart.
Okay.
So I do it. Well, however, if the standard approach, if you don't know someone's birth time, you use noon. And if it changed on that day that they were born, I simply read the key points for the moon sign. They're on the cusp, let's say. So I read each of those. There can only be 2 moon signs it could be. Think of the difference between moon in Scorpio, for example, and moon in Capricorn. Be completely different. So when I read the keywords for one, and they'll say, it kind of fits. And then I read the keywords for the one where it does resonate. They go, oh, that's me. So they tell me which it is if it's on the border. But if I can actually run their chart, that would be ideal.
So you can get their moon, but you can't get the progressed moon without the time, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't object. I do charts for people too. So I'm always asking people to get their birth time.
Yeah.
Most people know, though.
Some of them do. Some people have to look it up. And if they really want to, they do.
Yep. And sometimes it's going back to mom to say, what time was I born? And I'm always surprised when sometimes they say their mother can't remember. And I'll say, well, how about morning? Could you at least remember morning, afternoon, or evening? But that's because I grew up in a family where my mother would say she got me instead of breakfast, and she got my sister instead of dinner. My sister was born at 6 something in the evening, and I was born at 8:27 in the morning. So there you go.
Well, if it always comes down to just if you have the other information, it's going to be one of two moons, right? Between the two, you could either muscle test yourself or just douse it
Mhm.
to like
That's a
which one to go for.
good point.
That's a good
Yes.
idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
No,
Very
it's been the change that this has made using even just the sun and the natal sun and moon and how my clients are responding to hypnosis is night and day different. Night
Yeah.
and day. I have a testimony of one of my students from a couple of years back, and he'd experienced a lot of hypnosis, did a lot of self-hypnosis, and at the end of his session, he said he said he's a Leo sun. Wow. He said, oh, he was in it. He was 100% in that experience in a way he had never been in it before. After
Just think,
almost,
just think of the gateway that you're opening up for people for more self-reflection, Catherine, because a lot of people don't have this on their radar at all. So when you are presenting this as something and they are actually experiencing it and it's resonating, it is clicking in and moving the needle, it's going to set them on a course maybe that they hadn't considered before and to look more into it for their own benefit down the line, even outside of that.
absolutely.
So that's good.
It's all exciting. Another way of understanding yourself that doesn't have to be as complicated as it can be.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I know more than I teach in the course about astrology, but even if I just know natal sun and moon, I'm way ahead of the game in helping them in a way that resonates very deeply.
Mhm. Yep.
Even one of my students she's older than I am, she's getting up there and she's been a hypnotherapist for as long as I've been one.
Mhm.
And she also had never experienced hypnosis like that before.
Mm.
And all I did was put in her sun and moon and write it with those aspects present. It's like speaking their language. Where we're speaking their language. If you're in a foreign country and you learn their language, doesn't that make more sense than trying to get them to understand you, each of you speaking your own language? But when you speak it, even some of their language, it's easier to communicate. So what we're doing is speaking some of their language to have, so they understand that we understand part of what they're going through and how they're accessing their emotions, what they're doing. It helps on so many levels. I could spend a lot more time talking about how incredibly helpful. It has changed everything in the way I do hypnotherapy. And I have done this since 1989. Yeah. And I always used astrology, but I never took it to this degree where I write inductions, personal inductions.
Right. You've been doing this. I remember when we first started talking about this last summer, wasn't it last summer? And so you've been seeing such a pivot with the inductions and the other stuff that you've been implementing. And as we bring this to other therapists, other hypnotherapists, it might be interesting for you and others to really start archiving or maybe start quantifying some of what your results are, seeing how when people are starting to see different times and when the needle's moving versus before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might be interesting, and that might be your next book, Catherine. Who knows?
Who knows? I already have 3 books about astrology and hypnotherapy, but who knows? There could be a 4th.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
I had no idea.
I have a whole book on inductions that combine every sun and moon sign that you can have. I did an induction for each one. So people can use the inductions in the book for their clients, or they can write their own.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah, it was a fun project.
Yeah, I'm sure since it's in that area that you're passionate about, that you have that knowledge about.
Yeah, and
And
I've
just
learned.
think about when, I'm sorry, but
That's
just think
okay.
about when you went with your download to come up with this in order to implement it, and then other people can add to it too. I mean, I'm just thinking about how this can dovetail into what Melissa does as far as the human design and even couple up or combine these different things and really crack a code. It might be interesting. as this
Yeah.
develops to see just how many ways it can develop.
I think it's limitless. I think it's only going to be limited by our own creativity.
For sure.
And we're nothing if not creative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just to wrap up, astrology tells us how this person is wired emotionally, right up front, before they even walk through the door, really, what motivates them, what helps them relax, and what kind of language their subconscious mind responds to. And when we adjust our approach even slightly to match that inner structure, rapport deepens immediately. And when rapport deepens, resistance often fades away. Clients feel truly understood. And who doesn't want that? They feel like what we've done with them was designed just for them. And really, the way I'm working these days, it was. There's even a way to work with groups using astrology. You just have to write that group induction in a way that incorporates fire, water, earth, and air elements. And then different parts are going to resonate with different people in your group.
Right.
Yeah.
Very interesting. That makes sense.
Any other
That's
thoughts?
really cool.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or comments? I'm so excited. This is why I'm still not interested in retiring, because now I have a whole new thing to explore. You know, I always asked clients when they call for an appointment, I'd always say as part of their intake information, what's your date of birth? And no one ever said to me, why do you need that? No one. They just gave it to me. And
Well, I mean, that's a common question on all kinds of forms. So I think we're
It
just
is.
sort of conditioned to accept that without, batting an eye about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the ones that are maybe on the fence, I have just told them, astrology is my hobby. Basically, what I say to them is humor me. And that people are interested in learning more about themselves, aren't they?
Sure. Everybody's these days trying to find the keys to greater depths of happiness and fulfillment in life. And so we're looking all kinds of different ways. So this is a nice avenue to explore for sure.
It is fun. I think first exploring where we stand astrologically and understanding ourselves better. And then that leads naturally what's going to lead to using it with clients so that we can get that step up before they come in.
Right.
It doesn't take that long to personalize an induction. So
Good stuff, Katherine.
yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for participating. And hopefully I didn't make it too personal.
Oh, you're fine.
No,
All
it's all
information is
good.
good information.
All right. Good. Well, then I will close out and giving you something new maybe to explore with your clients.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Katherine.
You're welcome.